So most people know about the more common poisons in dogs and cats like snail baits, rodenticides, but there's quite a few poisons that people are unaware of that their pet may come in contact with during its normal daily activities. So I thought we'd just go through a few of those while we're here. The first one we'll look at is raisins and grapes. Now I'm sure that lots of people, when they're eating a bunch of grapes, throw an odd grape or two to the dog and the dog seems quite happy to eat it. But what you don't realise is that both grapes, raisins, sultanas are actually very toxic to dogs and can do severe damage to the kidneys, which often is not fixable. The best thing to do is avoid your pets coming into contact or eating raisins and grapes. The next one I wanted to have a look at is chocolate. Now, a lot of people are aware of chocolate toxicity, but if you're eating a block of Cadbury and you just throw a cube off to the dog, that's not going to cause any problems. But if you feed your dog a lot of chocolate, like the big sort of bunnies at Easter, or if you're making a cake and you leave this sort of stuff out and the dog knocks it over and eats it, it's potentially life-threatening. Chocolate has a product called methylxanthines, which cause seizuring, tremors, and often death if they eat too much of this stuff. So make sure if you are doing any cooking, you keep this well out of harm's way with your pet. Another one people don't know about is sugarless chewing gum, and that's because it contains a product called xylitol. And what happens is it's very strongly what we call insulinogenic. So when your dog eats the piece of chewing gum, it stimulates a massive insulin release, and there's a pretty good chance that it's going to go into liver failure. So you've got to keep those well away from your dog. The next one we'll look at is Panadol or paracetamol. Now, unfortunately, some people think that their animals are in pain, and rather than bring it to the vet, they choose to self-medicate. Now, you might get away with that in some instances, but you give your cat any paracetamol and you're asking for trouble. The lethal dose for paracetamol is 10 milligrams per kilo in a cat. Now, if you assume that the average cat is about 5 kilos, that's only 50 milligrams of paracetamol required to kill your cat. Now, just looking at this packet here, every capsule has 500 milligrams. So just 1/10 of a capsule of paracetamol is enough to kill your cat, or at least leave it very compromised and needing urgent and long-term care. Finally, the last one we'll look at is lily toxicities. Again, not a lot of people realise that lilies are very toxic to cats, and I mean all parts of the plant are toxic. So people put them up, the cats either chew the leaves, or they might have the rub against the lilies and the pollen might fall on their coat, and then as they're self-grooming, they ingest a part of the lily plant. These cause rapid kidney destruction within hours. Unfortunately, often by the time we see them, the signs have already progressed, and once you see the signs, the prognosis is poor. So if your cat does come into contact with lilies, it's important to get them to the vet straight away so that we can make them vomit and wash them and decontaminate them, and take the appropriate measures to try and reduce the likelihood of kidney poisoning. If you want to know more about some of these poisonings and lots of others that you might be less aware of, have a look at our website on sydneyanimalhospitals.com.au for a more comprehensive list and a lot more detail.